So let's talk more about the release of that report with my first guest tonight. Attorney and legal analyst Steve Baric is live and up late with me tonight here on the Final Five to talk about that. Steve, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you again.
How you doing, Jim?
Good. Let me ask you this first things first, unrelated. Everything good for you? I know you're out on the West Coast. I know it's been a rough couple of weeks for a lot of our neighbors out there.
Yeah, we're down here in Orange County. We're about an hour and a half from the fires, but I mean it's had a big impact on all of us here in Southern California, and we've had a lot of our neighbors from Los Angeles County staying down here in our hotels, going to our restaurants, and people from Orange County chipping in to get relief supplies up to the people impacted in LA. So hopefully, you know, the winds, there were no winds today. So hopefully we can get a handle on this over the next couple weeks or so.
All right, let's talk about what we brought you on here to talk about tonight. These reports coming out, 2 volumes, one talking about the classified documents case, one talking about January 6th. We're breaking down some new information right now coming out. It looks like the judge rejected the bid to stop the January 6th case, block beyond midnight. What do we get from these sort of, what's the incentive to release these, if there's any at this point?
Well, I mean, look, I think from, you know, the Biden DOJ standpoint, I mean, clearly, the timing of the report release is a little circumspect. I mean, about 7 days before the inauguration of the new president. You know, I hate to speculate as to what their motivations are, but I think some of President Trump's supporters are pointing out that the only really relevant factor at this point would be to create some embarrassment for the incoming president. It's a strange way about releasing these reports. Normally, these reports would be released to both houses of Congress, and then you would have congressional hearings. This is a little weird. Jack Smith resigns, and then kind of in the middle of the night, he's releasing these reports. So it's a little out of the ordinary, and I think a little unfortunate, frankly, you know, 7 days heading into a new administration.
I feel like something like this, because as the Democrats were looking at this, they were mad that a lot of things weren't released sooner, that they believe that Merrick Garland dragged his heels on releasing it. And I guess the question is, you know, regardless of what is in these reports, would there ever be a good time that you would have people on both sides saying, okay, this is a good time to release it, this is beneficial for the public but not damaging to the institution?
Well, you live in Washington, D.C. You know, both of these parties never agree on anything, it seems like these days. Yes, of course. I mean, no side is ever going to be happy. You know, both of these sides will never be happy with the same thing. So I think both sides have something to complain about in this environment and the way this was handled. I just think that the whole process has been a little strange with how the special counsel has conducted their job and conducted their activity. I think as we head into the next administration, really the office of the special counsel, when a special counsel is appointed, should be looked at by both sides, and I think the American people deserve better going forward.
And a word that I know that you've used, and we've discussed this before, is lawfare. A lot of people believing that the Biden DOJ had weaponized itself against Donald Trump in the effort to keep him from retaking the White House. Of course, whatever efforts those were have failed. How do you ensure, how do you reinstate trust in the institution where you have both Democrats and Republicans believing that the DOJ, that justice is blind altogether?
Yeah, look, I think that you bring up a really good point. What I would love to see is I would love to see a bipartisan commission going forward dealing with this issue of lawfare, right? Once upon a time, we were able to do things like this. Like once upon a time, I believe it was former Secretary of State Baker and the recently deceased President Carter had a bipartisan commission on voter fraud and how to have integrity in elections. I really think it's so important for the American people that they can trust prosecutors again. And I think we've lost a lot of that over the last 4 years. For, you know, each side has their own perspective. But the fact of the matter, I think that the American public distrusts, there's a level of distrust with prosecutors right now. We have to re-engage and get that back. So I would like to see some sort of a commission to investigate these issues, talk about them, and see if there's some safeguards we can put in place so we can get back to the way things used to be, and that was justice was blind in this country. And I think that should be our goal.
Steve Baric, we can keep talking about this, but we don't have a report yet. We will probably by this, probably in the next 30 minutes, but I don't have 30 minutes to wait, so I have to thank you for joining us. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
And the Final Five is back right for this.